everyone. Welcome back to the One Last Question show. I'm here today with Ron Serven with Growth Rings Coaching, and I'm super excited to have you back again. So, welcome, Ron, to the One Last Question show. Thank you so much for taking the time out.
I'm so excited to be here.
Cool.
Right?
Yes. Now, I know you are on the way of almost on the way out to going to a trip. That's one thing I super love hearing about you is all the different trips that you take, even if they're like day trips or whatever. How important is that to you?
You know, for me to be able to actually get out into the world and just experience just nature, experience people, I think, I just love the idea of sometimes even pushing myself outside of my comfort level, because I don't know what to expect. And I think sometimes that can feel a little scary or uncertain. So I just, I think just to experience life as it unfolds. So when you go to somewhere else, you can let go of everything else and just really be in the moment. So I love that part of life.
That's great. And is there any, do you plan in advance, or is it most of the time just kind of on a whim?
So my wife is definitely the planner. And one thing I try to be more mindful of my life is just this idea of, spontaneous fulfillment. Mm-hmm. And she is that, so she's more like, let's just go here. And it's like, okay, I'm going. But she's always been the planner. So, we're not like a family that just decides on the whim to go somewhere. It's definitely something we plan out. But I think for us, we do like to plan, vacations to where we make the most of it, not just show up and just be. We just show up with some sort of itinerary, knowing we want to maximize our time.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's great. Now go ahead and share with us a little bit about Growth Rings Coaching.
So my coaching practice has really kind of evolved as a result of just serving people in my life. Coming from a public sector job of 35 years, and just feeling connected to those that are coming to me with problems, related to city functions, and just having the desire to then take that into the next level of serving others in a different way. So I feel like I've been coaching for many, many years, just in a different way. So now I'm working with individuals to really look at the habits that they have, look at areas of their life where they're not feeling connected to, whether that's their health, whether that's just their spirituality, or even with themselves. I love to ask the questions like, who am I? Which can be a very simple question in nature, but I think if you really allow it just to expand, so many things about us that we don't connect to. So I love just to sit with an individual and allow them to step into that part of their life where there's so much more to explore. So and pushing them way beyond what they thought was possible. I think we have these limiting beliefs about ourselves, and we don't oftentimes understand that we can take actions in our life that that might allow us to experience something that we weren't even thinking or even feeling that were available to us.
What are people's typical reactions when you ask them, like, who are you?
They'll typically, for me, especially because I work with men a lot, is just more of the ego-driven things. Like what you want me to see in you versus being vulnerable or being authentic or being a connected father. So when those questions come up for me, and then I'm asking somebody else, I ask them what's good about that. Why do you feel like that's something that's important? Because I think that allows them to open up their own space to really realize, I never thought about why it feels good to be a father, or I never thought about why it feels good to connect to myself. And I think asking those questions, or even ask that question, what do you hope I don't ask you? Having the willingness to ask a thought-provoking question that may not even have an answer. I think it's the goal, I think a coach is there to open up that space, knowing that sometimes the question or the answer might come up. Other times it's just planting that seed, knowing that may not be the right time or the right space for them to dive into that. So I just love holding that space, just allowing that individual to really, kind of ask that question, hear that question, and being open to, for the rest of their life, what that might be, what that might evolve into.
Absolutely. Yeah, because they might not be ready to deal with whatever comes up at the time when they're asked that question.
Right. Well, and I think, too, people, oftentimes you realize you see more in what an individual may not see in themselves. So by asking the question, who am I, I think it creates a safe space for me to share maybe something that I don't typically share, because you're giving me that opportunity to express myself maybe in a way that's not available for you in your life in general.
Now, you mentioned working, a part of your business is working with men with children. What made you want to explore or go down that path?
It's a great question, because I look back at my life when I grew up, and I had a great childhood. Just lots of experiences, lots things. We had a great house. We had lots of just a house full of just great experiences. But I think what was missing for me at times was just that connection with my father. Just kind of that deeper understanding of his life as he was growing up, kind of what that experience was for him. And then kind of looking at kind of some challenging years for him, through drinking and through kind of being disconnected in his life, to really understand what was missing there, and then how do I bring that into my life? Because I don't blame my father for what he did. I think I'm a believer that we all take actions or live our life based on our own awareness, and I just look at he did that in his life. So how can I now look at the experiences that I've been able to go through with my father and learn from it, and be able to then hopefully bring those types of things into my relationship with my son, and allow him to experience all of me, not just parts of me that might feel good, but also the vulnerable parts as a father, to really let him see that I'm not the perfect man, I'm not the perfect father, because I think if we hold ourselves at such a high level that we aren't able to achieve that, then we don't feel successful. We don't feel like we're not feeling validated. We're looking for something else to let us know that no, I made a mistake, or I failed here, but I'm still moving in the direction of what I want to be.
And have you, have you been able to have some of these conversations with your father?
My father passed 6 years ago, but one thing I share with others is, I was more his father at a later age. He didn't have a father that he can really reflect back upon to kind of have those memories of what it felt like to be a son. So the latter years of my life with him, I learned more about him, and I felt like he was looking to me to be that kind of that father figure to him, or that person that can allow him to express himself and cry and these emotions that I think were caught up in him for so many years. I opened that space for him to step into that, and I think that's tough, because so many people live their life and they never have that understanding of where these feelings are coming from, and it affected his it affected his life. I think you can look at how your life is as it sits in front of you, but unless you ask some of those questions and really realize this anger that I have goes all the way back to sadness, because I didn't have what I was looking for as a child. And so I think with my father, I opened that opportunity for him to at least release some of those energies that might have been stuck with him for the rest of his life.
That's awesome. How does that make you feel, knowing that you were able to open that space for him?
I guess when you just said that, it just this peacefulness kind of came over me. Just the energies that we can allow others to kind of understand that they carry through their life. So I by doing that, I think it really made me aware of what I can do as a father to really understand more about myself. And then it's like, then what can my son learn from me, and then to create his own life and his own way of dealing with things that allows him to continue to evolve. Because how many times do generational things just carry forward in our lives? We learn, because we want to be like our fathers, right? He's this amazing man that I'm born into and look up to and want to learn from. And those behaviors that we take on ourselves might be not the behaviors that are really connected to us.
Yeah.
And I think, again, if I look back at my father and drinking and ways that he became disconnected with himself, disconnected in his life, probably behavior that I could have taken on and done very well, because I had a great teacher to show me maybe something that wasn't really authentic as far as who I am as a man.
Yeah, yeah. Now, we're going to shift gears, kind of take it into like a more broader perspective on this topic of men. As a society, do you feel that we have an issue with toxic masculinity?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I know, just in talking and experiencing men, I wouldn't say in general, but I think there's definitely a large percentage of the population that just don't allow themselves to just be real with who they are. And I think those energies that we feel within us allow us or keep us stuck, and then we're looking for some sort of other stimulation, whether it's sex or drugs or alcohol or addiction in general, to mask those those feelings or energies that we're holding in. So that toxicity, I think, that a lot of men feel, I think because they'll surround themselves with those that make that energy kind of feel right. Because I think
that validate that.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's no big deal. You're right.
Right. And
Got
how
it.
often are men willing to, in a circle of men, when it doesn't feel right, to actually stand up and say, you know what, that's not what I feel. I think we want to fit in, right? We want to be part of the tribe. I think it just goes back to our kind of biology and our DNA that we we want to feel this bond between men and this uniqueness of what we are on this earth to do. And I guess the challenge is, how do you step out of that and still have that connection with men, but also be willing to challenge, support, really push those men above and beyond what they might think is possible for them to be whole, versus these little parts of them that they feel comfortable with because they get validated by those men that are stuck in their life. So I think the toxicity is something that, as you become more aware and more present, you see it. I mean, men that I talk to that you just have these surface type interactions with, and then you ask that question, that thought-provoking question, you can see it, you can feel the energy, or you just you see them feeling like a you bring this up, this glazed over look about themselves, to where they don't know what that answer might be. And I think that's you almost feel like a sense of like hope at that point for that man to really use that as a way to maybe think of things slightly different. It doesn't, and I think we don't have to shift major things in our life to make big changes. I think it's those subtle shifts as a man on this earth that I try to do, to be mindful of, that things start moving in the direction that I want to grow.
Now, if there's a wife listening, what would you recommend her? She might be thinking, man, I wish my husband would talk to Ron. How would you advise her to be able to reach out to you? Or because a lot of the times wives, they know that this could be a good answer for their husband, and then they just push it on their husband, and their husband's like, oh, just no way, that's not me.
Right.
What would you say is a good way for them to maybe introduce you to them? Or
That's a great question. Because that oftentimes, like you say, will push that man away. It's like, you don't have any idea of what I need in my life. And I guess a question that is a very simple question in nature that might be at least available to anybody is just, are you happy? Because I think you can have the conversation with your spouse about are you happy in our relationship with each other, and that might come out of saying, yeah, I'm very happy with our relationship. And are you happy with your relationship with others in your life? So I think that question where a man's not going to feel defensive, I think just that idea that we all deserve happiness, we all deserve to have something better in our life, might lend itself to just something simple, and looking at the areas of your life, whether it's health, nutrition, spirituality, just that basic questions. Are you happy? So I think a question that a woman could ask and not feel like it's going to push somebody in the wrong, because it may come up that I'm not happy with you, right? I'm not happy in my relationship with you, and I think when we put that question out there with somebody else, versus telling them that this is how you're being, versus allowing them to create opportunity to think, maybe to become aware, there's not that defensiveness. Because I know about myself at times, when there's just this space that's available that's not so constricted by a right or wrong answer, especially as a man, because we want to check the boxes. We want completion. We want to move on. I think when we just create a question that's just, never thought about, am I happy in my relationships with other men? I never thought about, am I happy in my relationship with myself? Even that question, when you spend time with yourself, how does that feel? Do you feel like you need something more as far as bonding with other men or going out and doing other things that make you happy? I was speaking the other day to Sergio from our group, and he was talking about a gentleman that he has been speaking with, or actually a lady that's been speaking with him about a retired gentleman that it doesn't go out and do anything in his life. He's just kind of stuck because he doesn't have the desire or even the understanding about what might life look like if I can actually have a relationship with friends. And so I think, to get back to your question, what could a woman ask their husband knowing they don't want to create this uncertainty or defensiveness? I guess just, are you happy? Do you feel connected in your life? And if not, this might be somebody you can at least talk to, because I feel like our relationship is this, or I don't feel like our relationship is this. And just be open to having a conversation with no strings attached. And that's kind of where I'm at in my life. It's like, I'm not here to necessarily sell you a program or to coach you. I'm here to ask you a question to see where you might want to, area you want to grow in, to create opportunity to move in that direction, because you have the magic. I think that's what I realize is, you have to want to swim towards the direction you want to move into. You can't just expect things to happen in your life unless you take actions. And it's not even a matter of needing, it's wanting. It's like people ask me, or say, I don't need a coach. He's like, why do you feel like I need a coach? It's like, no, people don't need a coach. They want a coach because they're at a certain place in their life and they want more of this or they want less of that. So I think it's that mind shift of what that might mean in your life if you ask yourself, what am I happy? And then just let it go. I think that's, I think that part of the conversation, understanding when we ask those questions is, we don't have to come up with an answer right now. Maybe it's just that, my wife's willingness to say, are you happy? I never really thought about that.
Yeah. That's awesome. Great. And going back to the toxic masculinity, what would you say would be one of the ways, as a society, we could possibly start moving into a direction of healing from that?
I think it's so easy at times just to, focus on blame or, kind of anger towards individuals that make mistakes in their life. And I'm one that tries to look at, how can any individual, even if they've done something that's a bad decision in their life, how might they be able to have some sort of mechanism or ability to accept that, to really understand that I don't think there's anybody in the world that's ever lived that hasn't made some sort of mistake, small or large. So I think if you look at how we can move forward as a society, I guess it's a certain level of acceptance, not in a way that we're saying that's the behavior that we're going to now agree that's okay, but does that person have the ability to heal? Because I think innately, we all come from a place of love. And we're brought into this world, and all these behaviors and experiences that we've had have got us to where we are right now. And knowing that we came into this world with no experience, no resentment, none of these emotions that we now feel like are representative of who we are. Can we really create some space in these people's in everybody's life to just connect to their heart? Can we come from a place of making decisions where we're not fearful, where we can actually connect to our heart, knowing our heart's always going to give us the right answer. So as a society, can we, in our lives, when we encounter people, can we make that available to them? Can we not just put ourselves in a position where we come from our ego and we're putting out there what we're hoping you see in us versus, are you okay? Is there something I could do to help you? Is there some area that you need support? And those are questions you can ask anybody, right?
Yeah,
you could
absolutely.
you could be in line at Starbucks and ask that question. How's your day going? I mean, is there anything that you might want to, some action you might want to take in your day today to create some happiness?
Absolutely.
And that's available. I think we're so willing, especially in this day and age, to disconnect and text somebody or post something versus just what we're losing in society. And I think that's the challenge today, right? Is because it's becoming more and more disconnected. It's only going to get, I guess, worse if that's how we look at it. What can we do in each moment as it unfolds, and have a clear intention of how can I create a space for you as you move forward in your day to maybe think of things something slightly different, and ask that question. Yeah. So it starts with us, right? Because unless we're willing to change ourselves and really create our own path of growth and closure and things that we struggle with, then we're not going to be able to help others. I think it's that idea of being on the plane when they tell you, make sure that your oxygen mask is secure and you're safe before you can help somebody else. And how often do we feel like my life is dedicated to helping somebody else as a result of me being miserable and me being unhappy?
Yeah. I had another.
So I don't know if that answers your question, but
yeah, it does. Okay, so I remember what I was going to say now. So I remember at a very young age, people would always comment like, "Oh, your smile, you have a great smile," stuff like that. And so I was like, you know what? And I realized when I would smile at people, I would see like a shift in them. Like, oh, that was nice to have someone smile at me. And so at one point I made a decision. It's like, I'm going to smile as much as I can, because I never know who is going to need that smile for that day.
When you're also almost giving them permission to smile for themselves. Yeah. Because I think, you don't necessarily have to see somebody smiling to know what the reason is that they're smiling. I think just that smile, allows you to think, wow, there's something that they're feeling that I want. And why am I not willing to, kind of share the same smile back? I asked that question the other day on my podcast. I was like, do you need to see somebody else smile in order for you to smile? I mean, it's almost like this contagiousness of what's possible when you kind of let go of everything and just be present with the energy of happiness. And what does that mean, right? It's like, your version of happiness might be quite different than mine, but if we just connect the energy and feel that, where is that in my body? Is it stuck in my head? Is it in my heart? How can I really connect to that energy? So your smile is so indicative usually of how you're feeling inside, but there's probably those people that we run across that it's like that, I'm happy. Can you tell I'm happy? But are you really happy? And I think digging, it's like, okay, I'm sensing that you're happy here, but are you happy in all areas of your life? I think that's the important thing, because I think you can almost overcompensate in one area and just come off as this bubbly, great person that's got everything figured out, and then one question you could go, wow, no, I'm really struggling in that area, and I didn't realize it until you asked that question.
Yeah, and I see it. So I used to be part of an entrepreneur training company, so it kind of put me into like the coaching space. I met a lot of coaches and stuff like that. And then I think like this year I noticed some of them had come back, like back into the public, or just doing things on social media. And I'm like, oh gosh, I've not seen them in a while. So I'll kind of go on their feed, and I saw that there's a huge chunk of time that was missing. And these were people who were typically very high energy, always trying to be uplifting and everything. And then they'll come and have a story that, I had went through a really dark time in this period that I was off and stuff like that. And I was like, well, that's really unfortunate that people feel that they have to have this high level of happiness, but it's really empty happiness. Empty. Ooh, that's a tongue twister.
Right? Say that 3 times fast. Empty happy.
Empty happy. Oh, jeez.
Humpty Dumpty.
Empty happiness. But it's, Yeah, it's just very unfortunate that people feel like they can't show the other emotions as well.
Right.
I was at a paint and sip the other day, and my friend, she tells me, she's like, "Can you tone?" Because I wasn't having. Well, it wasn't that I was having a bad day. It was just that my attention kept like drifting,
Right.
and so she's like, "Can't you not do the face?" Like, I guess my face is very like whatever emotions I'm feeling, it shows up on my face.
Right. I would agree with that.
And then I was like, "Oh crap, am I doing it again?" She's like, "Yes." I'm like, "Okay, let me shift gears." But that made me really get back to present,
Right.
because then I knew I'm focusing on something else,
right.
when I really should be there enjoying my time.
Right.
Even if I'm not like, I wasn't having a good time because I was being a perfectionist. So it wasn't coming out how I wanted. So I started like checking out. But then I was like, okay, you know what? It's art. Art has everyone thinks art is, their own art's beautiful. So it's like, okay, let me just take a seat back, enjoy the moment, have fun with my friends that I'm here with. And I'm glad she told me that, because it made me make that shift.
Yeah,
So
I think it's when we can actually, I guess for me, what I've tried to be more aware of is just sitting with myself. It's like you could, or sitting with somebody else, and maybe that nonverbal communication where you can just, let's just spend 5 minutes just sitting here. And that might seem like, oh my gosh, really? We're going to sit here for 5 minutes and not say anything?
yeah.
And then just see what comes up, because I think, we're so caught up in everything that's external and all these energies that we feel like that's our life out there versus our life is in here. And can we sit in that space with ourselves and really allow just this whole thought process to go through without connecting with something so strongly, and just being open to, it's like, wow, there's that feeling of sadness that I don't even think I'm sad right now, but in sitting here right now, not really letting anything else come in right now, any interruptions, sadness came up. It's like, and just being curious with that.
Yeah.
I think it's not necessarily about as men, right? Again, we want to, why am I sad? I'm not supposed to be sad. Sadness is weakness. Now I'm lesser than because I'm sad. It's like, no, it's like maybe that sadness has, I was speaking to somebody the other day, and this isn't my quote, but it was like, sadness is the memory of something that once was. And if we can shift how we experience sadness, knowing that it's just that memory of something, not sitting in sadness and being depressed. It's like just that memory, and then appreciate. It's like you can shift the energy from sadness to, wow, that was a good time in my life. Although I feel this sense of sadness, it's really about appreciation and happiness around what I was able to experience with that person. Yeah.
Now, what mindset shifts? I'm struggling today.
Mindset shift. Mind shit Seth.
What mindset shifts have you made over the years to get you to where you're at now?
Wow. That I'm okay. I think just this whole idea, or I'm accepted. If I look back at my life and early childhood memory. So back in, 4th grade, 5th grade, I was in the cool group. I was in the group of kids that were like considered, like the ones that are like in the high.
Everyone looked up
the
to.
big quad areas, like yeah, exactly. Which was cool. It's like, okay, I'm here. This is what I'm experiencing. But then for whatever reason, they made the decision as a group that they no longer wanted me to hang out with them anymore. So they collectively, I was at my locker, and they collectively told me, and through like each person, it's boys and girls, we no longer want you to hang out with us. So they kind of each said a part of that. Wow. And I look back at my life, at that point, because I don't remember, and maybe this is just my lack of memory of just what I did with that. I don't remember having like a conference. I remember I told my mom about it, and I was hurt by it. I don't remember like in my memory of really dealing with that. That I wasn't part of a group. Like the group no longer wanted me to be part of their group. So as I move forward in my life, there's times where even today. I can't sit here today and say that I've completely moved completely out of that realm of, not feeling accepted or wanted or at times in my life. So the mind shift for me has been, it's about me accepting myself. It's not about you accepting me. It's like what you think of me, what you think of me is none of my business. That whole idea of, it's like the only thing that matters is how I feel about myself. So there's still times where I need to be reminded of that through experiences that I go through. Even in our networking group, it was new to me. There's people that have already been in it, and I think those energies sometimes come up for me, and then I have to have that step back, that willingness to step back and say, this isn't about them. This isn't about them accepting you. It's not about this group of fifth graders that's not accepting you. It's like you have to take ownership in you accepting yourself. And for me, that's probably the biggest important mind shift that I still have to be aware of. It's like, it's not about anybody else other than me and how I feel about myself, what I want to put out in the world, who I want to be. I think it's, again, I was thinking about this the other day about, these things that we do in our life, the amazing things we do, but like, who are we being in those situations to actually bring value to that experience? So now when I, kind of have these times where I go back into my old patterns and I question whether I'm accepted or wanted or appreciated, I realize I'm asking myself that question. I'm not asking for you for validation.
Yeah.
I need to ask myself. And the answer is yes. I do accept myself, the good and the bad. I mean, I'm not a perfect person. I'm not a perfect father. I'm not a perfect husband. I'm just trying to do the best I can every day of my life, knowing that that's what I deserve and that's what I really yearn for.
That's awesome. And that's really powerful. That being able to just accept yourself for where you are right now. And then I feel that opens a door for, especially for me to say, okay, well, if there's something that does need to change, what needs to be changed? And then how can I start taking actions to make that change?
And again, it's the whole idea, because I think as humans, we tend to think that we need to take huge steps or big actions in our life. It's like, what subtle things can I do every day of my life to really create that shift?
Yep. That's great. And what's one memory from your childhood that you hold on to till today?
Good or bad?
Good or bad, yeah.
Wow. So this is probably, when you said that, I was thinking, a lot of great memories. But another just kind of a scary thing I went through, and this, probably did carry over into my life as well. And I may get emotional during this, so I apologize for that. So, in growing up, I don't know, maybe 6 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, messing around with matches in the backyard with my brother and the kid next door. And so that, we'd light stuff on fire. It was like a cool thing to do. So fast forward to a day where the neighborhood boy siphoned some gas out of his father's boat, and we put that in. You put that in a trash can lid, and we brought this into the backyard, and we ignited that. So it just lit the tree on fire. Panic. We didn't know what to do. So I decided I'm going to pick up this rock that was next to me, and I threw it at it, thinking that was going to help kind of displace the fire. While the fire jumped onto this young boy, and he was fully ignited.
Oh my gosh!
So he had third-degree burns over 90% of his body. He almost died. I mean, it was touch and go for a long period of time. And
did the gas get on him?
He had spilled it on himself when he was
siphoning.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just the memory of that, I mean, it's just very vivid. Just the skin, the smell, just the after effects of how it impacted our family. And we were in the process of moving, not as a result of this, but it was almost like probably looked at as we moved as a result of this. So just that memory of just seeing somebody go through that traumatic experience, and again, not having the memory of closure with that. Just kind of feeling like responsible, or feeling how I impacted somebody's life, for the rest of their life. I ended up coming in contact with him later on in my life, and actually went through a workshop where, knowing that was something I was stuck at in my life, did like a role playing with some other people that were facilitating the workshop, and sat with him, and he, through this process, let me let go of the pain that I felt like I put upon him. And he, through this process, said, Ron, I know you didn't do this on purpose. This is not your fault. You need to understand that I'm okay now. So I think if I look back on a memory, those two memories that I've just mentioned, impactful, because I think those are things that I think we can sometimes not understand how they've impacted us as we move forward in our life. And so as I sit here today and I share who I am and what I'm doing in my life, my life is fantastic. I'm in a place now where things are amazing. But just that memory of something that I went through, a tragedy, that allows me to have perspective, allows me to understand more about myself and why I felt stuck. I think gives me hope that that's something that others can do as well. Knowing that we can we can let go of that sense of that I'm responsible for something, and I'm holding on to these energies, and that's keeping me stuck in my life, and I need to be able to have some sort of understanding or closure and letting go of that.
Yes.
It was tough.
Well, thank you for sharing that and being open to sharing that. I appreciate that. Yeah, because I know there's always something in our life that happens, some as tragic as that could really stay with us and shift us. And a lot of people don't get that opportunity to release that.
No. And I think, too, it's like, how can we get to the point where we look at that as happening for us versus to us? And that's... I think we have to move in that direction of understanding, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? Knowing that that's something that can keep us, in a dark space in our life for the rest of our, for our entire life. Yeah.
Well, that's great. We have people like you to help them move out of that. That's great.
Well, we all have stories, right? I think that's the uniqueness of us being here and us doing, what we do in our life. It's like we could all sit down and share some either victory or tragedy or life experience that inspires us to move forward or have a wholer life.
Well, that's actually one of my fascinations. I love hearing how people's journey, how they got to where they are, and everyone I ask, it's always different. I could meet two like CEOs of a really great company, but they both have different paths to get there. And for me, I just like hearing stories of like back in the days, because I was growing up through the 80s and 90s, so to hear different perspectives of adults who lived through that time, I'm like, whoa, that's so awesome, because I saw those decades through a kid's perspective,
right?
And to now as an adult to hear another adult talk about it at an adult perspective, I'm like, whoa, that's so interesting. Right. And that's just something I've really that is the birth of this show, is that fascination to hear people's story, to the ebbs and flows of it. Because I've really understood that everyone's journey is like this. It's a roller coaster. Some not as like as others, but it's still great to hear.
And I think we put our own. Sometimes we put our own kind of thoughts and expectations or our values on somebody else's experience, and we are so unique. I think that's what we have to really be willing to connect to. It's like, although we're very similar, our stories are so unique, and I think it's so important for us to know where we've come from and where we can go to live life the best possible way we can.
Absolutely. So what would you say fascinated you as a child?
Magic.
So
I remember I had my magic kit and just the what was it, that it was like a tube of this paste or whatever, and you put it on your fingertips and you'd like spread it apart so it was like this cottony, you know, kind of, you'd see it like floating around, or the rings that you know, like hold together and there'd be that little gap and you'd cover that gap. So magic. I remember, you know, being like 6 or 7 years old and just Mr. Electric. It was like we went to this, I forget where it was at, but we went to this show in a location, and just the whole idea of it's like, wow, how does he do that? And back then I didn't even think there's got to be a trick to it. It was just the uniqueness of, that is magic. I mean, there's magic that's available out there that nobody can, that nobody can explain.
Yeah.
Obviously now you realize there's the sleight of the hand, or there's something that allows you to, trick somebody into doing what you're doing. But I think just that innocence, when I look back and that experience of just magic, and just how powerful that can be, in our lives, and just that, I guess maybe that was just something as you asked that question right now, it's just kind of that energy of what magic might be like for me in my life right now. What might be possible.
Yeah. What do you think? What are you thinking?
Just, I guess I see myself just impacting, I wouldn't say the world, but just individuals the best possible way I can.
Yeah.
Whether that's my son, whether that's you, whether that's, people that come into my life. I think just that willingness to just, and I guess I mentioned that earlier, right? When I mentioned about you having the magic versus me having the magic. So now I'm like thinking, as I'm sitting here, and now you asked me this experience of a childhood memory, and magic came up. It's interesting just to think about how that now is something that I kind of connecting those two, comments that I made.
Yeah. And
how magic might be available to all of us in one way, shape, or form, and not really needing a justification for that, or there's a trick behind it. It's like, it's just magic.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, can't wait to, once it like really sets firmly in your mind, can't wait to hear like what comes up about that. That's great. Okay, and what would you say is your number one item on your bucket list?
Number one item on my bucket list. Wow. I think just to see my son. Is it, you mean experience or just in general?
Just in general.
I guess just to, I asked myself this question today, just to feel completely happy with my life, happy with, so in order to do that, I have to just, I think, let go of expectations of what my life might look like. So I guess it's more of an internal experience that I'm in my bucket list, is just to feel like I can always be me no matter what. And it's not typically something on your bucket list, right? It's like, I want to go there, I want to do
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
But I guess for me to go there or do that, it's like, I think I need,
that's the start of it.
Yeah. So when I have that, when I experience that, just to travel the world and to be able to coach, individuals from wherever I'm at in my life, to just to go from place to place and wherever I'm at. So it's not like a magical place. It's not a magical thing for me. It's just more feeling that connectiveness in my life to where it's not a destination. It's just an experience. So I guess the biggest thing on my bucket list is just to feel that deeper connection with everything in my life. So all of the things that are still in that bucket are experienced at a deeper level.
Okay, so
that didn't answer your question. No.
Yeah, but no, no. But this next part will. So okay, with like, let's say, I want to go to Australia, or I want to climb Mount such and such. That's very like definite. That okay. So someone's gonna know when they accomplish that. How would you know when you accomplish this experience that you're talking about?
It's a great coaching question. Yeah, I guess I'm experiencing that now.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So
That's awesome.
Right now, maybe not all the time, but right now, just feeling like I'm in that space. So how I would know that I'm experiencing it on a regular basis to feel that connection is to just to be, I guess, living my purpose at a much deeper level, serving others, serving my family, knowing that everything is in alignment with my purpose.
Mm-hmm. Because you actually have some, and we didn't get to talk about this. You actually have some big shifts going on in your life right now.
Yeah.
With the 35 years, that coming to a close. You're an arborist doing that.
Yes.
You're now in coaching. And then also whatever family stuff that I don't even know about. So I think it'll probably, like, once you get everything's finalized, then that's what I think would be when it will be continuous.
Yes.
So that's interesting.
So I guess if you ask, so if I was to sit here and come up with a couple of bucket list things, I think Machu Picchu. I mean, just be able to do that, to be able to travel that journey of spiritual experience, and something that's physically challenged for me. I think that would be amazing. Me, like you, I see myself. I would love to be on stage with thousands of people and just be able to share my story and talk about mindfulness and what that has meant to me. Mm-hmm. So I guess you're kind of parting the clouds for me when you're asking these questions to I guess to give some clear things that I want to do. I guess I guess I've been on this journey of who I'm being in these situations. So instead of, for me, focusing on something, an external experience, is like, how can I continue to ensure that my internal experience is in place as I move forward to then experience those types of things.
Yeah. But you know what? I think your answer is great because, like, I was only thinking externally, but you helped me realize that it can be internally too. Yeah. It can be something that we want to experience. And that's great. That's what I love about this is that we're able to, like, feed off, get that different perspective and realize, like, oh, it's not just one way.
Right.
It doesn't have to be just one way to have that bucket list. So cool. That's awesome. We worked on that one together.
But I want to keep my bucket list full.
Absolutely. Yes. All right. And what song takes you back to high school the moment you hear it play?
Oh, God, when you said it, Freeze Frame. So was that, who sang Freeze Frame? Freeze Frame. And the reason I say that is it was probably one of the best times of my life, if I look back, was when I played baseball. Okay. So I played baseball at Arcadia High School. I was our top pitcher for the team. Just in memory, we were 19-0. We were #1 ranked CIF baseball team. So before every game, they would play that song, and we'd be out there just kind of getting in the groove. So when you asked that quickly came up for me. Just that, Freeze Frame. Do you remember that song?
I think I know which one you're talking about, but I'll have to, like, look it up so I can play it in here and know for sure if I do or not. And then what motivates you to take immediate action?
What motivates me to take immediate action? I guess I feel like if I don't take immediate action, then my memory I'll forget, or what was I supposed to do again?
Yeah.
I was supposed to do that. That's right. That I guess I'll lose that passion for the moment that I feel when something comes up that I really want to experience, and I want to be in the moment to where I take action immediately. I don't like that part of me where I have this dream or vision of what I want to experience, and then I put it on the back burner. I mean, I want to get to the point where when I feel it and know it and I want to experience it, that I do it. And I think that's something I haven't been as connected to, is that whole idea of experiencing spontaneous fulfillment. that's what I love about you is just I can just see you just saying, hey, let's go do this. And you're like, yes, let's do it. I'm more like, how's that going to impact my day? Am I going to be able to sit in my jacuzzi and watch part of the Dodger game? Am I going to, all these things that come into mind, my mind, which are great. I mean, I enjoy all those things, but I want to get to that point where it's like, and I'm moving that direction just with my career, retiring, all these things that are happening, but still, my what I'd like to experience more of is just, let's go. Let's go there now.
Yeah.
No time restraint, no worries, and let's just do it. So, yeah.
That's cool. Great. So that memory's a really big determiner
yes.
to motivate you. Get it done now, or else I'll forget about
right?
it.
Yeah. I try not to be judgmental of my memory at times.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny how you'll remember certain things that you're like, wow, why did I remember that?
Yeah.
And then other things you're like trying to focus on, and you're like, why does that escape me? What am I doing different to not let that be something that I connect to versus?
Yeah, that's funny. All right, and then what song helps you to get there faster? I guess another way to ask it, like, what would be your pump up song?
Mm-hmm. Well, what just came right in my mind was what's it called? Tonight's gonna be a good night.
Oh, Black Eyed Peas.
Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah.
Just the whole energy of that, just jumping up and down, and just knowing what's possible, and just stepping into that. So I think whenever I hear that song, it just takes me to that place of just excitement, letting go, being spontaneous. With whoever I'm with, and just kind of being in that moment of expressionism and just not worrying about anything.
Yeah. I love that song too.
It's a great song.
Takes me back to a lot of club nights. A lot of fun.
Well, where it takes me back is to again back to that workshop I was mentioning, to where people going through kind of a challenging situation in their life, and really stepping into just the music, the beat of it, and just what's possible, and just that then just letting go, just the mood, got just kind of that crescendo that you're just like yeah.
That's funny. All right, well, thank you so much for allowing me to ask you those questions. You being so open to share. You dove really deep, and I do appreciate that of you. And what we're going to do now is we're going to shift gears and go into some fun trivia. We're going to actually start with trivia. So the way this works is I'm going to ask you 10 questions. And then if you get 3 of them wrong, you're going to pick what type of torture you're going to
oh my God.
for. I used to say punishment, but I'm like, that doesn't sound right. And then I was like, well, what am I really doing? I'm really torturing the people.
Right.
But if you get them all right, then no torture, and then we get to celebrate that too.
So how many got to get right?
7.
I've got to get 7 out of 10. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Can I pick my torture now?
So I was. This is what I was up at 2 a.m. looking. And I was dying laughing at the answers that people would. So this guy would ask each of the questions to multiple people. Uh-huh. So if I were everyone I interviewed, I would ask them the same question, and then he snip all those answers together. Right. And so just the answers, I was just laughing so hard. So I was like, okay, well, let's...
And I'm not a trivia guy, so let's like I said, I might as well pick my poison now.
Well, give yourself hope. You might do good on this one.
Is it multiple choice?
No, just one. Actually, I don't even give you answers, so yeah. Okay. Right. Which is heavier, a pound of cotton or a pound of stone?
A pound of cotton.
It's the same. They're both a pound.
All right, I gotta listen to the question, right?
Okay.
Wow.
Name one of Thomas Edison's inventions.
The light bulb.
Yes.
Ding, 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 ding,
yeah.
ding.
And I'm looking at this, and I think I spelled inventions wrong. What is the nation's capital?
The nation's capital, Washington, D.C.
Yes. Have you been there?
I have not.
I love it there. I've been there. We went for like a convention, but I did a whole week before. I stayed in a hostel, and they had free trips, free day trips to like the different parts of DC. It was so awesome, and like the guys, they actually lived there, and then they'd come in the morning. We'd meet up with them as a group, and then they'd take us to the various places.
Yeah, my son went there for middle school, so yeah, my wife's been there, so yeah, it's definitely that's on my bucket list.
Yeah. All right, 13 puppies, all but 8 die. How many do you have left?
13 puppies, all but 8 die. You'd still have 13. There's still 13 puppies.
No.
That's my listening skill. Ask the question one more time.
13 puppies. You have 13 puppies,
13 puppies.
all but 8 die. How many do you have left?
5. No, that's the wrong answer too, right?
Yeah. No, one more time.
8.
Yes, that's right.
Right? So I get 3 chances at each question, right? Because I'm older.
No, not 3. You technically only get 1.
Oh,
but okay, so you're running a race.
Okay.
You pass the person in second place. Mm-hmm. What place are you in now?
I pass the person that's in second place. I'm in first place.
No.
Why?
Because you're in third place actually. You passed the person that's in second place. So now you're in second place. So you have your first place, second place, third place.
Whatever. That's the wrong answer. I'm going to challenge that one. Because the guy who's in first place doesn't matter.
You didn't pass him though.
See, this is why you don't do trivia 55. All
right. How do you spell top?
How do I spell top?
Mm-hmm.
T-O-P.
Say it twice.
Top.
Mm-hmm.
Top.
Say it 3 times.
Top. Top. Top.
Say it 4 times.
It.
No, you can say it top 4 times.
I knew you were tricking me there.
you know the trick's coming out.
Right? Top, 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 top.
Okay, and what do you do at a green light?
Stop. Right?
Green light
God
is...
damn it.
Okay. Spell balloon.
B-A-L-O-O-N.
2 L's.
Wow.
B-A-L-L-O-O-N. I had to look this up multiple times because I was like, oh, jeez. What does E in email stand for?
Electronic.
Yes.
Wow.
How many letters in the alphabet?
26.
Yeah. In what state did the Boston Tea Party take place?
Massachusetts.
Yes.
Boston's not a state. Come on.
So you can only imagine, like,
right?
all these people answering this.
I'm on a roll now.
Yeah.
Crescent roll.
So that's all 10 of them.
Damn it.
So, okay, let me get my jar.
See, I'm more of a masochist, so I want to inflict pain on myself. That's why I purposely answered some of those questions wrong.
Right.
I knew the answers.
You knew you wanted this. Okay, so yes. We have 3 in there. Just pick one of them.
Oh. That's the one.
Okay. Confetti for me. Bean boozled. Okay.
Bean boozled. Oh, you're gonna give me one of those crappy jelly beans that taste like crap or something.
Yes. So you get a packet of them, and I like how the packet is. I thought that was kind of interesting. It's a little triangle.
So in this package are ones that are all like.
Yes, they're all. So I think these are the. This is the different ones.
All right. So you can ask me to describe what I'm eating now.
I think your face.
dichondra. Like I just mowed the grass.
Oh.
Do I need to show you first and you'll tell me afterwards?
Yeah, let me see. Okay.
God, it smells like a bad rotten egg.
It says it's barf. Yeah, that definitely. Okay. We won't torch you anymore.
Wow. I kind of like them.
No. Do they have like a good aftertaste or anything? No.
Oh, this one does.
Okay.
Did I decide to do this, or did you make me do this?
You
Come here. No, to come here. Wow.
You volunteered.
I mean, here I say life is choices, and I chose to do this.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd do it again.
So if you want to take a sip of water. All right. So next what we're going to do is rapid fire questions. Okay. So the first thing that comes to your mind, we're going to go for 2 minutes.
There's no right answers to this, is there?
No. This is...
Because I don't want to do one of those,
You don't want to get bugs next. No. This is just top of... Right. We're going to go through many questions. So last week I ran out of questions actually before 2 minutes. So I put some extra questions here. So we'll see if this is good enough. Okay, ready? Oh, okay.
Ready?
We'll go up. Okay, go. Have you ever painted a picture?
No.
Glazed or jelly-filled donuts?
Jelly-filled.
Do you know how to tie a bow tie?
No.
Dog or cat?
Cat.
Wonder Woman or Catwoman?
Catwoman.
Fishing or baseball?
Fishing.
Yeah, I put that one specifically for you. What was your New Year's resolution?
New Year's resolution was to not have a New Year's resolution.
New York or California?
California.
Salted or plain pretzel?
Salted.
Do you get car sick?
No.
Oh crap! if you owned a bar, what would you call it?
Sleaze. I couldn't come up with what came after sleaze. So
Sleaze. That's gonna be a poppin' bar. Is Disneyland the happiest place on earth?
No.
Deep dish or thin crust pizza?
Deep dish.
Prince or Sade?
Prince.
Have you ever said "Let's go out dancing"?
Yes.
Are socks with flip-flops acceptable?
No.
Flying or driving?
Flying.
Do you ever read your horoscope?
No.
Would you ever go to Coachella?
Yes. Electric
toothbrush or manual?
Both.
Blue cheese or ranch?
Blue cheese.
Goodfellas or Godfather?
Godfather.
Do you moisturize?
Yes.
Do you make your bed every day?
No.
Corn or flour tortillas?
Flour.
Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel?
Jimmy Kimmel.
What is business casual to you?
Polo and dress pants and some nice casual shoes.
Cool. Have you rolled off your bed before?
No.
Okay. All right, 2 minutes. Last one. Last time you laughed uncontrollably.
Here. Last time I laughed uncontrollably. Gosh. I think when I watched you and Rob the other day, you did the video. Those were some pretty fun. When he was out there doing the flamethrower and singing the Star Spangled Banner. That was pretty awesome. I was laughing pretty uncontrollably. So that was probably the last time.
Yeah, great. All right, so thanks again for coming out. Now I just have one last question for you. How good is your balance?
I would say my balance is pretty good overall. Yeah.
Great. And how good would you say? Have you ever, not quite tightrope walk, but walked a small plank, firing a flamethrower?
Have not done that. It's on my bucket list.
Yes.
How did you know?
Well, today we're gonna make sure that your bucket list gets. So go ahead. Oops.
Uh-oh.
That's the only thing about this. We have to. Okay, so hold it down that way. We're gonna get Ron trained on this, and then we're gonna see how good his balance is.
Right.
All right. We'll see you guys outside.
All right, this is Ron Serven with Growth Rings Coaching Services. I was just on one last question. Now I'm going to see how I can really incorporate